Have you noticed a difference in your pupil or children's behaviour since the pandemic? If so, you're not alone. The A Lust for Life Schools programme is a primary school wellbeing programme which teaches kids from 3rd to 6th class the tools to manage their own minds at a very young age. Something I'm sure we all could have done with when we were in school. It's a free programme for schools to use, and it's A Lust for Life's mission to reach every child in Ireland with it. The programme is designed to equip children with the tools and skills to navigate the ups and downs of life by building emotional resilience, emotional literacy and emotional awareness. All you need is a screen, audio speakers and an internet connection. For more information on the A Lust for Life Schools programme, you can visit the A Lust for Life website or email the team directly at alflschools@alustforlife.com. If you would like to provide future generations in Ireland with the resources to be effective guardians of their own minds, then the A Lust for Life Schools programme is for you.
Jeeve Golair, and welcome to the Loaf of Bread GAA podcast, slicing into the GAA of the past, present and future. Join me, Jason Keelan, as we cut into the largest loaf of bread known to mankind. Hello, Daegu, bonjour, ni hao, konnichiwa, guten tag and privyet to you all wherever you're listening in. What started as a message to 10 clubs has now expanded to more than 50 clubs globally from all continents. The journey through Loaf 2 GAA Global continues this week as we move on to our next destination, the GAA World. So come with me on the GAA journey of a lifetime and meet clubs from Canada to Argentina, South Africa to Gibraltar, Bermuda to the North Pole, New Zealand to Kuwait, Knoxville to Qatar, and literally everywhere in between. So grab the passports, grab the bags, it's time to go. On Slice 49, the journey in Asia continues as I chat to Asian County Boardman and Seoul GAA star Joe Trolan to find out the crack in Asia and South Korea. We chat all about soccer scholarships from Coleraine FC to the USA, time with Atlanta GAA in the States, discos in Slaughtneil and Derry in the 90s, sleeping outside the pub in Philadelphia, the rivalries of Busan and Daegu GAA, his AGM hiccups, army-based training, Jack McCaffrey and Paul Mannion in Seoul, hurling with Derry, Asian game wins, the club karaoke song, and who did Joe pick between Korean soccer star Heung's son and Dungiven GAA man Joe Brolly. This and much more in a wonderful chat with the gentleman himself. But first, as always, let's take a trip through South Korea and find out all about the country on the Korean peninsula. Bon Soltas. Welcome to Seoul, built on the Han River and the capital city of South Korea. Its full name is actually Seoul's Special City. Today we are located on the Korean peninsula in one of the most livable and largest cities on earth, with a population itself of about 10 million people. The city is one of the few in the country to have no representation in the local Hanja language of Chinese characters. It has also gone through a few name changes in history too, from Wiryasong to Hanyang to Hansong to Kaijo, to the present name which originated after World War II, coming from the ancient Korean Sorobal, meaning capital city. The early days of what is Seoul began over 6,000 years ago and went through various dynastical changes over the centuries. For nearly 600 years, until the end of the 19th century, the Joseon dynasty ruled before changing to the Korean Empire in 1897. The modern formation of the city had a circular wall around it, with a gate which was opened and closed every day. It would not be until the end of the 19th century that the city opened up to the outside world. As it did, it modernised quick. It was the first to introduce electricity to the royal palace. But in 1910 the Japanese took control of Korea and would hold it until the end of World War II, when the official name of Seoul was adopted in 1945. Despite the rulings, some good did come along, such as the importation of Japanese methods of technology, which brought huge growth to the region. But on the 25th of June 1950, less than 5 years after the devastation of World War II, the northern region of Korea invaded the south. The North had previously held elections claiming they no longer wanted to be part of the South as their communist sympathies were not being recognised. In 1948, the South Korean nation was established, but a Soviet-based communist region in the north also declared its own identity, with the man named Kim Il-sung in charge, the father of the current dictator Kim Jong-un. But North Korea is a whole other story, and one which is more likely to include talk of famine, poverty, insanity and concentration camps, rather than to ever include a North Korea Unitary Juche GAA team. Meanwhile, a similar disagreement had led to war in China between nationalists and communists. When it ended, the Chinese thanked the North Koreans for their help by sending over 65,000 soldiers to help their invasion of the south. When the war broke out in Ongling, the city of Seoul fell to the North Koreans, which soon prompted interventions from the US, who were determined to stop the spread of communism, especially with Stalin in the Soviet Union and Mao in China, both backing the North invasion. President Truman and his Chief of Staff, Dean Acheson, a distant relative of Tipgrade Peter Acheson, would become involved, knowing the notion of appeasing and ignoring had failed miserably with Hitler years previous. Amazingly, it was General MacArthur who was put in charge, the man who was responsible for so much of World War II ending in Japan. Vicious fighting took place. Battles of the Punch Bowl, battles of Heartbreak Ridge and battles of Porkchop Hill are just some of them. In the end, the conflict finished in battle terms with neither side really winning. Thousands of deaths were recorded, and since then the armistice in place has really just been a piece of paper that North Korea has ignored. Technically, the war has never ended, and as recently as 2021, calls by South Korea to end it formally have happened. Even President Trump tried to find a relationship with North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un, whom he referred to as Rocket Man, a fantastic way to start any relationship. Un has threatened to use nuclear force against South Korea, Japan and the island of Guam, which made international news at the time due to the severity of the threat. How do I remember it so well? Easy. I was in the Philippines looking at how close Guam was to us on the map and wondering what the hell the story was and would I survive if Guam was bombed. Thankfully for South Korea and Seoul, prosperity with other countries in trade and development has helped create the advancements they've experienced in modern times. Seoul remains at the heart of technology in the world today, and many other industries call Seoul home, such as Samsung and Hyundai. Modern day Seoul has many attractions, from the famous kimchi and Korean barbecue food, to Gyeongbokgung Palace, one of the 5 major ones in the city, to the Incheon neighbourhood and beyond. Of course, one of the major attractions for tourists is the DMZ, which is less than 25 kilometres north of the city. From here, looking into the fake city over the border in North Korea is quite surreal. It is genuinely one of the oddest and most unique things ever. I even bought a train ticket in Dorasan Station to a train station in North Korea on a train that will never likely run again. Yep, that's the DMZ. A couple of other random facts about Seoul and South Korea is that the city is the fastest Wi-Fi in the world and is also the breakdancing capital of the world. It is essentially the home of cosmetic surgery in the world, and one thing which I found very odd was that Google Maps does not function in the city, mostly due to the fact that it does work in North Korea. In 2002, Ireland qualified for the World Cup in Korea and Japan, and of course anyone who remembers will know that story all too well.
Then Mick came back in and Mick said about the training kit hadn't arrived. The training pitch wasn't as good as he thought, and as soon as Mick said that I thought it must be bad. And there was no balls of course, and he felt DHL had let him down. They should have been there on Thursday or Friday or something. I think this was on the Saturday evening when we got there, or the Sunday evening, and I couldn't believe it. I really couldn't.
Some famous names from the country include various K-pop stars, political figure Ban Ki-moon, actor John Cho, who made the term MILF popular in the American Pie movies, actor Daniel Dae Kim from the show Hawaii Five-0, and the famous modern-day band BTS. In sporting terms, names like Ki Sung-young, once of Man City and Sunderland, Man United star Park Ji-sung, legendary striker An Young-hwan and Cha Du-ri are some of the names from the country who have excelled in soccer globally. And of course the modern-day work of this man is always well known.
And now Son's on the move. Touch isolated here, Spurs number 7, but he's quicker than Jorginho, and Son is still going! It is a magic moment from Heung-min Son for 3.
Seoul GAA was founded in 2002 by lads who went to see Ireland in that World Cup and never left. They've been competing in Korea against the likes of Busan, Chungwan and Daegu for many years, and also hold their own in the Asian Games. But for more on that, let's meet the man himself, Derry native Joe Trolan, who's here to tell us more about life in South Korea and Seoul GAA, and a little bit about kimchi and Korean barbecue as well.
There we go.
How are you, Joe? You well?
Not too bad, just not too bad at all. What's
I've
crack with you?
heard many good things about you.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know if it's true or not, but we'll see. I don't know what the crack is.
You have a lovely background. What am I looking at in the background?
That is our Ulster 91.
91.
Minor hurling.
Wow.
That's me. That's me in the green.
Is it? No way.
When I had I was gonna cuss there. When
That's
I had
all right.
when I had a head of hair.
That's fast.
It's good, yeah. We were a casement. We beat Antrim in the final, and then went on to play Kilkenny and at Croker in 91.
That's amazing. I'm guessing you're either the goalkeeper or the poor person who they had no jersey for.
Oh yeah. one of my club mates, Shane Kelly. Nah, yeah, goalkeeper for me.
Brilliant.
That was it.
And what's your club back home then?
Ballinascreen. And
Screen.
it'd be South Derry. So like be close to in around. I have 4 dogs beside me and they're all looking at me now. I like Lavy's close, Lavy, Glen, Macrafelt, all around South Derry. Pretty big. Like Slaughtneil. Slaughtneil.
Oh yeah. And Christy McCaig was one of my first ever people that came on the podcast as well.
He's a sound fella, like.
Such a nice lad, yeah. An absolute animal of a man as well by the looks of it. So he floored my cousin. My cousin was playing for Longford in one of his first games, and Chrissy left him on the side of his arse. So he's quite the hit on him, in fairness.
You know, it's amazing though. Like I left Ireland in '93, and I mean Slaughtneil were we used to go to discos in Slaughtneil on a Friday night. It was like a pound in, and that's how they raised all the money and updated all the facilities and all. Like you had every young fella and lady going to Slaughtneil on a Friday night for a bit of curtain.
That's brilliant. What brought you out? What made you leave Ireland, or where did you end up?
I moved to the US to play go to college and play association football.
Right.
A bit of soccer. I went over there on a scholarship.
Wow.
And then kind of drifted away and then moved to Atlanta. So you had Ray Tracy on.
That's right.
So I know Ray very well.
Okay.
So I moved to Atlanta and then joined up with Atlanta GAA, and then was in Atlanta for a good 8-9 years, and then moved down to Tallahassee to start a PhD, and then was finishing that up, and then moved to Korea in 2009.
What was the PhD in? What was the PhD in?
Sports management.
Wow.
So,
and who was your soccer club, or how did you get spotted for a scholarship?
Well, I played with Coleraine.
Right.
Back in I wouldn't say the heyday, but back in the early 90s, and I was down it, and I was I went to St. Pat's Mahara to do my A levels.
Oh yeah.
And after about 3 months, I was scundered. You know, I was just like, this isn't for me. And then I went on the YTS, which I guess is like the FOSS program.
Okay.
And to like soccer YTS down in Belfast, up the in Castlereagh, and then we went over to the US. There was 12 of us from the north, 12 from the south. Went over, and then we played all these college teams, and we just battered the heck out of them. And then we kind of got scholarships. They offered us scholarships, and I was the only one to take it.
Wow.
The rest of them all came back home. They were playing for some were playing with Waterford, some were playing with teams in Ireland or in the north, and a few other ones. And I was at home, and I went to like Macrafelt to do a BTEC, and I was playing with Coleraine, or trying to play with Coleraine at the time. And then I just got fed up, and this lad in Florida rang me, and it's like, look, would you want to come out to Florida and play? And I was like, let me think. Yeah.
I'm a busy man. I have a lot on.
Yeah, let me see. Beaches, sunshine, American universities, stuck in South Derry. Oh, yeah. Twisted my arm.
Yeah, that's amazing. You played in the 90s when we all loved hearing the ITV news when they come on with the results, and it's like Distillery 0, Coleraine 0.
Oh yeah. It was just like
that iconic man, whoever he was, in his voice, who used to call out the
oh
scores.
yes,
Yeah, we loved him.
it was like it was about 20 minutes, 2 minutes of results coming in.
Yeah,
that was it.
It was brilliant.
Late kickoff.
Yeah, that was we used to love them. Yeah, we used to love looking at the scores in the Irish League up the north, just to see, like, hear your man mostly. He just had such a great voice for it as well. And you went out to Asia then. Where did you land?
In Seoul, and I've been in Seoul the whole time. So I teach. Oh. I left here in sports management out here at university.
Okay.
So I like the job it's good. Like you can't beat it at all.
Yeah.
So got here 2009. Thought I'd just be here for a year, honestly.
Yeah.
Maybe 2 years max. Kind of finish off PhD, go back to the States, teach in the States, and hooked up with Seoul GAAs, hooked up with a couple of soccer teams here, and just fell in love with the place. And there was. I was like, it's, you're traveling around Asia, you're going to Thailand, you're going to, Singapore, you're going to freaking Malaysia to play Gaelic football.
Yeah.
And you're like, and then China, and you're like, what better? And then I met my wife, and my wife's Korean, we got married. And I was like, look, then I got involved with the county board and all that stuff. And I was like, why would you want to leave? Like,
Yep, you're one of those. I went out for a pint and I stayed for 10 years stories. Yeah, I've had a few of those so far. Yeah, Seoul is a lovely spot as well. It was one of the last holiday we had before COVID was Japan and Korea, and then came back via there. So yeah, we're in Busan first. Is
Busan,
that right?
yeah. Busan, like there's Busan. Seoul will be the big team, and then Busan would have a team, kind of like we have a Korean league.
Yeah.
So we'd have Busan and Daegu would be the other one, and then Seoul. But Busan's kind of relaxed. It's laid back. You have the beach.
Yeah.
It's just people are more chilled in Busan than they are in Seoul. Bar the taxi drivers, of course.
Okay.
But yeah, taxi drivers are a bit mental everywhere though, really. But Busan, we would go down for a weekend trip down to play Busan, and you go down, take a train down on the Friday or a Saturday morning, go out for a bit of Korean food, and then get on a few beers, go out to a few bars, and the Wolfhound down there.
Yep.
And you get up in the morning, have a few cans in the morning to kind of settle ahead. Go back to the Wolfhound for breakfast, and then take a train back up to Seoul. Like.
Yeah, it is. It's a cool place. It's kind of. I'm not long off the call with the guys in Japan with Chris and Neve, and it was kind of the same thing I was saying. It's like Tokyo and Osaka. There's like a massive difference between the two. It's kind of the same with Seoul and Busan, obviously, as you would know it a bit better.
Yeah, like one of our last few tournaments before everything kicked up was in the North Asian Games in Tokyo. And actually in Narita, was just outside Tokyo.
Yeah, it's lovely.
And man, it was just I miss those days.
Yeah,
it was just so much fun. We had the mayor of Narita there, come out to watch the games. We had the men against women with ladies, and then we all went into town, and just like a traditional Japanese kind of little area, and we had a great crack that night. And there's about 5 or 6 of us were flying out together the next afternoon. So we woke up, we went to McDonald's for breakfast, and then we went down. Drinking cans is legal in the street, when everyone was closed. So we just went in and got some cans. It's like, I'm 40 years old. What am I drinking cans in the street for? And we just got the cans, and we're just walking up and down the street and just sitting thinking, like, we're in Tokyo and Sunday drinking cans of beer. It's just like, it's just unreal, just thinking about it. If you're 40 at home, you're not playing football, and you're certainly not drinking cans of beer in the street on Sunday morning.
Well, some parts you might be.
Yeah, maybe, definitely some parts you might be, but these are professional lads, who are drinking cans of beer Sunday morning. Like,
yeah, it's brilliant. It's a class spot, in fairness. And Narita was nice as well. I remember that. What's the What's the history of the makeup of Seoul like these days? What kind of numbers are you running?
So, we haven't done much. There's still a good bit of banter between the lads in Seoul, and the chairperson would be Sean Walsh, would be Kerry lad.
Okay.
So he's still keeping things going on the chats, and you have there's a Kevin Conlon would be one of our coaches, and Neil Timmins, and Kevin would have played with Leitrim at the county level, and then was on the Cork panel, and then moved out to Seoul. Those lads, they try and keep it kind of going individually and stuff, but there's not much kind of team stuff allowed.
Yeah.
But we're getting towards the end of it, so I think we'll be opening up pretty soon. But we're getting into the cold weather now, so it gets freaking cold. It gets really, really cold in the winter. I'd say maybe by the time we start back up as team sports, maybe around March, Paddy's Day next year, should be flying. But numbers wise, still good numbers. There's very few people have left, because we haven't really locked down or restrict. There's been a few restrictions, but you can still go out, to bars to a certain time, still go to restaurants, you can still go out, get a coffee, shopping. So life's relatively normal, except for kind of no team sports. And we would have originally used high schools, and then they closed that down. And then we had a lad, Ollie Cunningham, the Waterford lad, was in the US Army, retired now, but he for a few years ago, he got us on the army base, the Yongsan Army base, which was huge for us, because it's dead central. It's in Yongsan, so central Seoul, easy to get to. So whenever COVID hit, the army base was only for US military and personnel, so we couldn't get on, which is unfortunate. So things just shut down for a bit, but the banter's still there, still have numbers, but they're all raring to go. As soon as it opens up, everybody right back out again.
What was the pre-COVID times like, taking on other teams?
It was good, because we got to, we would have training. You'd be maybe everybody would train together on a Saturday. Would be on the base on Saturday. Be 4 hours. The women would be on there getting 30 out there for the women. The men would be up 20, 25. Good days 30 out there. Go out for a few pints and or cokes later on. Lads would be doing, they meet up on a Tuesday, maybe, or a Wednesday for a bit of a session there. Just get out and run around. It was pretty good, pretty constant. There was a lot of activities, and then we were looking to we were looking to travel to Taiwan. There were, we'd head to, you'd head to Shanghai or Beijing for tournaments, maybe Japan for a tournament, and then you'd always wrap up with a big one, the Asian Games.
They sound like great.
The madness that ensues. We had a Bangkok 2 years and KL for a couple of years, and Seoul won it in 2017, 2018 in Bangkok. So that was really first time they'd won it since, I think, back in the original heydays of 2003, 4 and 5.
Okay.
When it was 7-side.
And what do you remember of the tournament yourself? Who were the teams up against, or what was the crack like?
The big ones would be, the seniors would always be pretty serious. Singapore would always be the favourites going in to a certain extent, because they have the largest amount.
It's a recurring team in the Asian division so far.
We lost. When I played in the seniors, we lost 3 or 4 finals. I think Hong Kong beat us 2009. We should have won that one. And Singapore beat us 2014, 2015, and they kind of manhandled us. They were good, and then we kind of rejigged the format of the strategy in 2017, and we beat Singapore in the final, in I think 2017 by a point, and it was close.
Wow.
And then we played Hong Kong in the 2018, and it was good final. But you're looking, Singapore, Hong Kong would always be pretty solid, pretty strong. Shanghai had won it in 2016. Beat Seoul, beat us in 2019 in the semi-final. And then you can never rule out kind of Thailand as well. You had when you had Big Yerdy on there and Dave McCormick.
I'm talking to him. He's back now.
Gertie, man, Gertie's a beautiful footballer, like, you know.
Yeah.
You had Chile. You know, they have solid lads. Like, it was one of those. Your seniors is kind of like they're all at the same level, and it's just kind of if you hit it off in the day, you know, because it's a 14-minute game, so 7-minute sides, 2-minute halves, and if you're feeling it, I mean, you can in 40 minutes anything can happen.
Yeah,
really. And like we have the 2-minute sin bin, so if one of your lads does a stupid foul and it's a yellow card, he's off 2 minutes. 2 minutes makes a massive difference. You know, so the seniors is always great to watch, you know, and like we had Jack McCaffrey and Paul Mannion out in 2019, and they were kind of blown away by the standard. But Mannion was out here in China when he took a year off from UCD.
Okay.
So we played. We played Mannion Shanghai team in I think it was the semi-final or final of the China games, and we beat them. You know, Mannion was but mind you, Paul was playing in his trainers. So
probably didn't affect him. He could have played in his bare feet, I'd say.
Yeah, but one of our lads, Neil Timmins, he's a dub lad, I think, and he marked him, you know, and he marked him pretty well now. I'll have to give it to Neil. He did a really good job marking him, but it was good. Like, it's pretty amazing to play against Paul Mannion.
Oh yeah,
in Hong Kong, like.
There's not many people can put that down their CV. So that's class. Yeah. Where do you normally find yourself on the pitch?
I would be. I'd probably be up in the front forward line, and then I would maybe, you know, probably more dangerous as a corner forward, but I like to try and get on the ball as a centre forward. Now I'm older now, but I'm fitter now than I was a couple of years ago.
Okay.
I've been running and doing marathons and the whole lot now, and I've stayed off the booze. That's another thing. So the pandemic hit, and I was like, look, no, I have to stay off it. Though, you know, I would normally have a few beers if I traveled the games. I'd have a few beers. But in Korea, I stay off the booze now. But I would be a corner forward who likes to maybe take the tackle and get a free kick.
Nice. Okay. One of those kind of corner forwards, then. Yeah.
Yeah, kind of. The legs aren't the same, so I have to use the head. You know.
Yeah. And what about for Seoul then? It's a kind of a thing I ask all the clubs outside of Ireland. How's the sponsorship side of things for you? Because it's varied so much. I've had teams with no money and then teams with more money than county boards. So.
Oh yeah. No, I you know, on a good year, they do well. Like they do a lot of the local businesses. They would have the odd time to get a corporation in. But it's kind of it's harder here because, you know, we wouldn't have had the kind of the business connections.
Yeah.
Sometimes we do through the Irish Association in Korea or through the embassy. Will put us on to a couple of corporations, but for the most part, it's, you know, local bar sponsors or restaurant sponsors would come in, and they would do pretty well. You know, they wouldn't. You know, we wouldn't be up in the hundreds of thousands of dollars or $20,000 here. Yeah. But we would never be in a deficit. You know, we'd always have a bit of money in the bank at the end of it. And so, you know, now I worry about a lot of the clubs in Asia coming back from the pandemic because it's hit a lot of the local. I should say a lot of them get local sponsors, but a lot of local sponsors don't have the money. Right now. So, you know, I just it'll be tightening the purse strings, you know.
Yeah.
For a few years till we all get back on our feet again.
Oh yes, no, it doesn't sound too bad, anyways. And you mentioned about the Paul Mannion stuff coming into other clubs. What kind of nationalities and people have you got involved in Seoul, or is it mostly Irish?
We're actually very good. Like we have on the men's side, we probably have a good mixture, and there's probably more expats than Koreans in the men's side, and the expats would be, you know, all nationalities: American, Australian, Kiwis, Europeans, South Africans. There's a really, really good mix there of different nationalities. On the women's side, there's a lot of Koreans.
Funny, it's the same with the Japan team as well.
Yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
I think the whole, two things, maybe the whole non-contact, sort of non-contact sport in it. And it's a really good sport to pick up that maybe the local Koreans, the ladies, they may have soccer or a few other team sports to pick up, but Gaelic, it's very social. It's non-contact. The girls are very welcoming, do a really good job. The guys are very welcome as well. But for the Koreans, it's a lot harder for men to pick it up because a lot more kind of the contact. You have to really learn how to deal with the contact.
Yeah.
So it's more difficult. But the ladies have a good variety of expat ladies because there's loads of teachers here.
Yeah.
Like they're from everywhere. The seven English speaking countries have loads of people here.
Yeah, you can't get rid of us. We're everywhere.
Yeah, they all kind of drift to, like, rugby's pretty big. Aussie rules is getting pretty big. So there's a good mix. There's a good kind of crossover between the rugby on the ladies' side and then the Aussie rules on the men's and ladies' side as well. So it's good. Every year you'll see a lot of new faces coming in.
That's good, yeah. What's the crack like off the pitch then? What's a good night out like with the team?
Yeah. So as you know, like when you're here in Great, it's 24/7, like, and the bars supposedly close at 4, but you'll get bars that close at 4, and then you'll know spots that are open after 4.
Yeah.
Till the subway opens at 6. And so, the buses open at 6. So, if you don't live close, like what I would do, I would call the wife and say, "Yo, well, I'm staying out. I'll get the first bus home, or I'll get the subway home." It's been 6 or 7, and then you would do the Wolfhound, say at the time, till like 4, and then it would close, and then you go to a different, I'll say Irish pub. I won't say the name of it just in case the security forces are listening. And they will be open. And then, but you'd also, if it was a good night, you go to 7-Eleven or you go to GS Mart, the local convenience stores.
Yeah.
You just get a couple of cans of beer and you'd sit outside the convenience stores and just have a bit of banter with the lads and ladies. And then the sun would come up and then you would just maybe get the second or third bus home or later on the subway.
Yeah.
Or maybe go get breakfast and keep it going, So Seoul can be a dangerous, a good dangerous place to be.
Yep.
It's extremely safe for men. It's pretty safe, for women it's pretty safe as well. But for men it's very, very safe for men. You're not going to get mugged. Like if you fall asleep, your stuff's going to be there. I remember I went to North American games once in Philadelphia. I don't know, it could have been 97, 2000. I don't know, but I fell asleep outside Fado Pub in downtown Philly on the sidewalk. And I woke up and I told the story the next day, and they're like, "You fell asleep on the sidewalk in Philly?" And I was like, "Yeah." And they were like, Jesus, you're I was like, well,
you're alive.
It was a good, there's no danger. I always laugh when I was in Tallahassee. People have this possession of America being extremely dangerous, and there are dangerous parts to it. But I think for us being Irish, I remember in Tallahassee, I was walking to a friend's place, and I thought I'd take a shortcut, and I walked through the what they would recognize as the hood part of it, or the poor part of Tallahassee, which is all African American. I'm walking through there with khakis and a polo shirt, and I'm white with a tan, and I'm completely lost, no idea where I'm at. I'm walking through it. The dusk was coming down like that, and people are driving around looking at me, and I'm walking around, and I saw a cop car coming. The cop car just stopped. The dude just looked at me, and I'm like, "All right." I walked on, kept on walking, and then this older gentleman came out. He was like, "Hey, how you doing?" He's like, "What are you doing here?" And I was like, "Oh, look, I'm lost." He goes, "Oh, where are you from?" "Ireland." "Ah." all right, come with me. He walked me out, walked me down, took me to the back to kind of what he would say the safe space for the pale-faced people.
Yeah.
And he's like, look, you're good here now and stuff. But I had a good chat in 20, 30 minutes of chatting about why we're here and stuff. And he knew of Ireland and he knew of Dublin and Belfast. And, I guess just that the whole Irish thing really helps you out a little bit, kind of where you're at.
Everywhere, yeah.
But go back to Seoul, like, it's on a really, like, in a good night, you could be out all night. Like, we had a trip to Daegu, and we were out to the sun come up, and we stayed in a youth hostel. And of course, the youth hostel was about 500 meters away from where we were at. I had no idea where I was at. Like, I was like, how am I getting home? I got to get stuff ready and get the train out in the morning and stuff like that. Like, I'll go in the cop car. I was going to the cops and asking where the place is. So I went to the police station. My Korean is I've been here a long time. My Korean is the worst. Like, and there was 5 cops there, and they were just sitting around doing what cops do, just kind of nothing really at the time, to a certain extent, because nothing really happens. And I was like, lads, I don't know where I'm at. And they looked at me like, dude, I don't kind of speak English. And then we kind of communicated a bit. And I was like, I'm at this hostel. And then they said, okay, come. Stuck me in the back of the car, stuck the lights on. Lights are always on in cops' cars. Stuck a siren on, pulled out, drove about 100 meters, turned right, drove about 100 meters and dropped me off, outside like that. But I was just like, I was like, hopefully nobody's seen that. But of course somebody did see it. The next morning, they're like, why were the cops dropping you off in the morning? I was like, well, they were just taking me home.
That's brilliant. You won't get those kind of stories back in Ireland anyway. That's that's class.
Good banter now. Good crack.
Yeah, there's some savage stories. Do you keep up much, or do you get the team to keep up much with, like, the Sunday game and the GAA at home?
Yeah, like I have GAA Go on here, so I'd follow all the time with that, and I'd be on Twitter all the time catching up stuff. And I finally got the GAA Go from my iPad up to my TV screen. So now I can watch it kind of bigger. Honestly, like the Sunday night, and working in the morning, you're like, all right, I'll watch this game, and then I'll go to bed, and then you wake up next morning and you're bollocksed because you just didn't go to bed, and then you go back and watch the games later on. Honestly, GAA Go, it's been a huge boost for us, especially overseas people, because bar that, there's not much opportunity unless you do an illegal stream, and I know the lads in GAA Go, so I wouldn't do any illegal streams. But the streams are there for people who want to look for them and get them. But it's dangerous, and it's not really fair on GAA Go to use an illegal stream, because it just the lads in GAA Go do a really good job. And the pirate stuff is just look, it's wrong, morally wrong and ethically wrong to be using it, like so. But GAA Go have done a good job. Like, now you have the individual packages, you have stuff like that. Some people just want to watch their own club or their own county, so it's good. They do a good job.
And what about on the pitch then? You kind of think back a little bit, what's been the on the pitch highlights?
But I like what you've done. Like, it's I think, for me personally, I look back to my first year. It was 2009 in Bangkok, like, and it was just, just the number of people, the types of people you played with. I've probably more highlights of losing finals than I have of winning finals in Asia.
At least you get to the finals.
But just getting the finals in, it's like, for me, it's just more, we've won some finals, like, but it's just more the friendships that I've made by playing the games. Like, I've played, when I go in my capacity on the county board, I go to a lot of tournaments, and I would do a lot of refereeing, and then I would end up playing with some of the local teams. or some of the teams that need players.
Yeah.
So I think I've played for most clubs around Asia, and that's the highlight, because then you get, if you're going to Phuket for a holiday, you can just WhatsApp lads, say, look lads, I'm coming down to Bangkok and then I'm heading on to Phuket. You want to catch up for a bit of food or a bit of craic? Do the same in Singapore. You could do the same in Beijing and stuff, in KL or in Cambodia or in Hanoi or it's just meeting the different people. I think that's the main highlight for me, is just the friendships that you've made over here. When it comes to it.
That's class, yeah. Apologies, I think my mic went. I might have cut you off briefly before that question. Yeah, that's class. Getting to play with so many teams. You're very much the journeyman, I suppose, of the county board now. Is that right? How did you end up in the county board part?
It was we held the tournament here in Seoul in 2011, and then 2012 came up, and a good friend of mine, Paul McGrath, would have been on the board, would have been chairperson at the time. And then he was like, look, do you want to get involved? And I was in 2011 and I was like, yeah, look, I do sports. I'll get involved in development if I can. So I went down to, it was in KL. The AGM was in KL, and went down, had a rough, Joe McDonough, God rest his soul, was out that year.
That's right.
And we were up to all hours having a few beers, and Joe was singing away, and we had lads from Leinster Council out and the whole lot, and we had the AGM started the next day at like 9 o'clock, so I slept in. And got to 2 hours late, got in, had hiccups for about 3-4 hours through the AGM, and it was a long AGM, and then eventually I got selected somehow to be development officer. Then the following year I ended up being chairperson, so I must have did a decent job. And then through the chairperson part, I got to travel around in the role and meet all the clubs and stuff, and it's really, really good to see the development come up within Asia, because you had the traditional teams like Seoul, Singapore, Hong Kong, the China teams, but then the new ones, the newer ones, and then the stronger, Hanoi, the VHLs in Hanoi, the smaller but not weaker, just smaller.
Yeah.
And Saigon, and then they got bigger and bigger and bigger, and then you had new clubs like Johor Bahru in Malaysia and Cambodia, and then you now have like Nafenya and Ho Chi Minh.
Ho Chi Minh,
yeah, Suzhou, Shenzhen, Shunde lads in China. You have all these teams popping up all over the place. In Indonesia, the India lads, coming on strong. The lads in Manila. I mean, there's so many to say, and just seeing the growth and seeing all that stuff. And like I say, I have a jersey collection to go along with it. So, I always
you're what I want. That's what I want. I want a jersey collection. Yeah.
Always try. I have about five kind of drawers full, and anytime I go back home or anytime I travel, I try and pick up one, as a memento. And the wife, Helen, she's just like, no more. You can't have any more. So now I'm also collecting referee jerseys. And she's like, oh, definitely not. Definitely not. You can have the football jerseys. Yeah, you're not having the referee jerseys.
Yeah, I have a decent enough collection as well. They're mostly kind of local ones, and then my soccer jerseys here. I pulled out the bag the other day looking for the old Ronaldo 7 jersey, and
brilliant.
So I don't know how many there is. The bag is about 6 feet tall, I'd say, at this stage of the jersey. So
honestly, I besides the Gala jerseys, I collect Celtic jerseys, the hoops ones, and I probably have about 20 of them. And the wife's like, "There's no difference. They're all hoops." That is sacrilege.
Yeah, just don't understand.
Dare you say that? Look, there's a small difference right there.
Yeah, it's exactly like me. That just sounds like me, basically. Yeah. Is it a much of a workload been the county board chairman?
It would be, but we have a good group of people now, and you'll be talking to chairperson now would be John Allen Sullivan, Hong Kong, But yeah, like Derry Cahill in Singapore, and you have Cormac and Jody. Cormac being in Vietnam, and Jody in Jody and Emily in Japan. And you'd have Kean and Francis. There's loads of people.
Everywhere,
There's loads in there. There's a lot of good people on the board, so you're able to spread the love around and getting work done. The best one is our treasurer, Mick McCann, will be dubbed. So he's very, very hardcore keeping the purse strings, So
for a county that has more money than the rest of Ireland, that's a good one.
Yeah, like Mick wouldn't be too ready to spend money. You'd have to validate why you need to spend the money, but he's solid now. He's very, very good.
That's good.
And he's in Taiwan, where they just started camogie and hurling in Taiwan.
Oh wow!
So our camogie officer be in Hong Kong, and then a hurling officer in Thailand, and they do a really, really good job working with the clubs now, getting that stuff done.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
Derek from Singapore is on after you actually in a little while, so I'll quiz him on the county board stuff as well and see what it's like.
Yeah. He's proper county board now,
Okay. I'll have to keep my questions official and on paper as well, I suppose. So,
there's good banter.
And what's the future like for Seoul GAA then after COVID? What do you think things will be like?
The lads, the committee now with Sean, he's got a really solid committee behind him. You have the men's coaches like with Kevin and Neil. We have women's coaches, like Sarah Curtin. We have a Patsy Reedy from Limerick. Like they'll be here for a good few more years. So I think I would say that the talk would be kind of just get things moving again. The goals are still there to win the AGG. I mean, that's always the goal for it, for both men and women. So I think, probably the first step is kind of get the numbers back up again, and then start hitting it hard to get the training going again. Because the training is very, very good. It's pretty intense, but it's very, very good. And so I'd say final goals is get the numbers up, get the crack going again, and get back to where they were in 2017, 2018, and 2019.
Okay. Do you see, as been on the county board, do you ever envisage down the line the winners of the Asian Gaelic Games or anything getting into like the All-Ireland Junior Club Championship or anything a bit like they do in Europe?
We've talked about that. I know Europe is in it. But Europe play, I guess, they had their 15 aside.
Yeah.
And what we do for the World Games is like whoever wins the AGG the year before would then represent that. I think the World Games at 9 aside. I think for us it'll be financially tough to bring, because you're thinking 15. You're probably looking 30, 40, 50,000 euro just
to go,
to get it going. And then 15 aside, you're looking 2 different teams.
Yeah.
How do they train together? How do they play together? I think we would have the people that could give it a really good run. Like if we took the best 15 or best 20 or 25 from Asia, I think we could give any county a good run for money, because we probably have really good quality senior footballs who will be in turn be junior All-Ireland. We could do really well, but it would just be logistically, financially, it'll be too tough to do.
Just wait until everyone has gone home themselves for the holiday and then just organise them all to turn up then.
If we could have that little kind of all right, if you're home for a year, you can get 15 lads and 20 lads from Asia who were there the year before to play. If you can work it into Congress, I think it would be.
Yeah, that could work. Yeah, no, it's something I always like the idea of, especially now since the proposal B and all that is on the table here at the moment. I like the I don't know. There's something just about the idea of like a GA World Cup type thing that just sounds very interesting.
I think that like the World Games that we had in Waterford in 2019. I could see it as an extension, maybe in a little bit is, the winners of the men's senior, women's senior at the World Games, could go into the juniors the following year. There'd be no harm in that. Even though the World Games is 9-a-side, you could extend that to different people. In each region could add in whatever they want. I think it would be really, really, now you think about it, would it happen in 2020 or 2 or 23 or 24? Now, probably be 2030, someone. Yeah. You'd probably have a couple of iterations of the World Games and then you could have it. But I think it'd be a pretty cool idea now to have the winners of the World Games go into the, you could have hurling, you could have camogie, you could have both ladies and men's football. Could rock into the junior all Ireland. Like it's actually a really good idea.
There you go. Well, I came up with that idea. That's my idea.
Trademark that.
Yeah, I trademarked that idea. Yeah. No, I just see it in other sports where they're like, even the likes of bringing Argentina into the Tri Nations kind of down south, and even that's a monster. Like I've flown from New Zealand to South America, like it's a monster trip. Yeah. But they seem prepared to do it. Obviously, they've got the funding and stuff is not an issue. But somewhere down the line, it's something you just love to. You'd love to see Croke Park and go to a game, and it's a junior club match, and it's like, Seoul GAA from Korea taking on, up there from Galway or whatever it is, like something, mad like that. That would be brilliant.
It's like, honestly, I think it could work. So, like someone that like I guess each county board, if we had the funding, could look at it and say it. When you said Argentina, that was a number one sell on top, I think, in Waterford at the World Games.
Yeah, it's been very popular in the Instagram stuff I've been doing. Yeah, O'Neill's message to say message Food Club saying they were wondering there's a big push on jerseys at the moment, so I think the story stuff is working well. So I'm just keeping pushing everyone before Christmas, see if we can sell a few more.
Oh, absolutely, man! Like it's like the designs of them. Like O'Neill's are really good. They work with us. They do a really good job with us. They're one of our sponsors. As a board, they do a really good job. But like I remember going back to Japan when the World was on there, when the World Games going on, and I was up at the factory on Asia stuff.
All right.
And they had all the like they were doing all the World Game stuff, and they had all the jerseys up here. Swear to God, I was in heaven. I was like, can I just take all of these right now?
I'd be the same, yeah. Yeah, just give it to me, yeah.
Oh, it literally was. I was like, I just don't want to leave here. Can I just sit here and the output that they were doing on just on a team gear, but on the like when you're in Waterford, like the tent on the Friday, the tent on the Monday was packed. The tent on Wednesday was pretty empty. By Friday, it was skeleton crew. Yeah, like there was nothing left. Yeah, at all. Like it was.
It's mad, yeah. People do like, especially in Ireland, we do like a good a jersey with a difference. Like even rolling out in Bermuda at the moment, their prototype jersey is kind of on the release soon enough. And even he was saying O'Neill's got in touch to say, they've got a lot of notice about it through the podcast and stuff. So it's good when you hear things like that. Yeah, that's what you like. There's a few quick fire questions as well. That everyone has a go at, and there's a few Seoul themed ones as well. They're not that quick fire, don't worry. You're not under a clock or anything. So in Seoul GAA, who's the stereotypical Irish tough person at the club who's likely to throw a few slaps or get sent off?
He's gone.
Okay.
But it would be Connor Melvin.
Okay. Where's he from?
He's a Mayo lad.
All right.
He gorgeous footballer, quick temper on the field. Like
wouldn't be used to getting his hands on too many trophies apart from the title anyway. So
he wouldn't throw an obvious thing. He would get a nice sneaky elbow in there,
Real GA player. So yeah. Is there a Seoul karaoke song of choice on a night out?
It probably, Soul Sisters. That would,
Brilliant.
when it comes on, everybody's singing it. Like I was driving today and it came on the radio today, and I was like, ah!
You can't get away from it. Are you in the Marty Party or the Des Cahill fan club?
I love both of them, but Marty Party.
Marty Party, okay. The toughest team you've ever faced?
Toughest team I've ever faced.
Yep.
In Seoul, it will be Singapore 2014.
Okay.
The AGG.
What about with the back in the day playing hurling and stuff?
Playing hurling stuff, I would have to say Lavi at the senior level.
That's Ray's team, isn't it?
Yeah, no, Lavi and Derry.
Lavi and Derry, sorry.
Gavin.
Oh yeah.
Lavi and Derry. Most dangerous player, Jeffrey McGonigal.
Okay. I'll write him down as well, so I'll add him to the list. What about in soccer of interest when your Coleraine days?
I would say the toughest team would have been a reserve game. Would have been Distillery.
Yes. Love Distillery.
Down in Distillery. I lost the head here. Their big centre forward was come back from injury, and he was up there, and I had to mark him. It was tough.
Right. Okay.
But that's how I got the call up to the first.
Okay.
I did a decent job marking him.
Fair enough. I'll take that. If you could bring Seoul GAA to Ireland, who would you most like a shot against in the Irish clubs or counties?
Push on against. What do you mean in the?
Anybody at all. Clubs kind of tend to go with the county or the club they really want to beat just out of spite, and the club that they think or county they think they could actually beat.
I would say for myself it would be Derry, and I would say kind of Dungiven, because we had a good rivalry with Joe Brolly. So we had good rivalry with those lads when we were growing up. Now, North Derry versus South Derry now.
Okay, I like that one. Your best memory with the club? You've kind of mentioned, all right, going around and playing with all the different clubs. Is that still the top memory?
Yeah. I think I would say definitely top memory. It was just kind of getting to know everybody around Asia through playing football.
Brilliant. Is Seoul GAA a short passing team or a drive it long team?
Oh, definitely short passing team. Definitely.
Okay.
A good strategy behind it.
Good. Okay. I like that. Are you a hats, flags, scarves, or a headbands man?
Have to be a scarf man.
Scarf man. Okay. This was an interesting one with Chris and Neve in Japan a while ago, because I was asking about Father Ted and introducing Father Ted to the local community, and then we remembered there's the famous hairy Japanese bastards moment to Father Ted, so we forgot all about that. Have you introduced Father Ted to the Seoul community? Yeah,
like there's a good few that would know it. We'll probably be hesitant enough to introduce it because of the Koreans wouldn't get a lot of sarcasm.
Yeah. So Derry Girls hasn't been brought in either, has it?
Derry Girls is pretty popular now. Okay. I know even my wife loves it. She has a hard time understanding the accent now. But
Fair enough, yeah.
She does love it. Like Derry Girls will be easier to sell than Father Ted would. I think good. Father Ted wouldn't even get on TV nowadays.
Okay, fair enough. The best GAA player ever in your lifetime?
In my lifetime, best GAA player would be Anthony Toho.
Anthony Toho, brilliant. Yeah. His son is just back from Australia as well. I think he's left his club out there.
Great to see it.
Yeah.
Very solid now. They're great spine in Derry now, huh? We're ready to go.
Yeah. Would he have been playing? Westmeath beat Derry famously back in the 90s. Would he have been playing that day up in Derry? I think we beat after you guys had won. We went up and it was a fairly, I was very young for it, but it was a very mucky day. I remember there's YouTube videos of it going around. I wonder would he have been playing that day? Probably,
and it would have been back then. Ballinasgreen would have been because could have been it's either Gaelic Park or Ballinasgreen, and a lot of the county teams would have played at Ballinasgreen.
Okay.
because we had the only stand in Derry at the time,
Right.
outside of Gaelic Park.
The ideal
and it
place to
was
play
like,
it. So
yeah, if it rained, we were there.
yeah,
We were good.
sounds good. And the few soul themed ones, then these are even more vital again, as you'll see in a second. You have a choice between the Irish music scene or the K-pop music scene.
Oh, Irish music scene. K-pop, no, I'm too old for it.
Yeah, all the kids in my class are obsessed with K-pop, which is very disappointing. But anyway, what have I got here? Heung Min Sun or Joe Brolly?
I'll be Heung Min Son.
Heung Min Sun, good. Derry or Seoul?
Oof. Soul. I have to go with Soul.
Okay.
Definitely, yeah. Just love Derry. I'll retire in Derry, but I live the rest. I live my working life in Seoul.
Good. And the last one then, which is a vital one that I thought of, Irish cabbage or kimchi?
Kimchi. And I tell you, I asked my mum or my dad back in the days, or my family. I never ate vegetables in Ireland. It was like sausages, bacon, pot noodle, eggs. Rarely ate vegetables in the US. I made up for it here. I eat so many. If I open my fridge now, there's about 2 containers of kimchi in the fridge.
Wow. I wasn't taken on it that quickly, to be honest. It was served everywhere. I don't know. There was something tough about it. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's I think once you get, depending on the smell, sometimes can turn a lot of people off. But yeah. I just when I have it, I just eat it with rice and I eat it with soup. And honestly, if I'm eating Korean food, it's been added into all parts of it.
Okay.
Plus, with my Korean wife, it's given to me.
Yep. Sounds good. Yes. Have you got a Korean barbecue in the house?
No, but the wife, when she cooks, and like she makes galbi. She makes dak galbi. She does samgyeopsal. I'm like, it's like I'm trying to work out. I'm trying to, give me this stuff when the marathons are getting close, but don't give it to me at 8:00 on a Monday.
Yeah. Oh no, the food was one thing I remember was absolutely lovely.
Like you have the rice is in the rice cooker, you have the stuff going, you have the veggies out, and it's like it's 8:00. This is a full meal. It's like I'm not going to go to bed. I'm not going to get to bed tonight. My stomach's going to be full, but it's pretty light.
Yeah.
It's not like you're eating a Chinese or an Indian at like a sausage supper.
Yep.
And then you feel stuff for 2 hours after. So yeah, like Korean food, absolutely amazing. It's one of the biggest, I guess, as you said. The kids are into K-pop, like K-food, K-dramas, Squid Game, the whole that stuff is blowing up.
Yep. You haven't started red light, green light or training yet, no?
No, but the lads will bring it in now. They'll be throwing bricks at you now, red light, green light.
You'll be having lads out there who've had 20 points trying to toothpick out something from the middle of a biscuit.
Oh, they're I do have to say, our coaches, the men's coaches, Kevin and Neil, they do come up with some really, really good they spend a lot of time coming up with drills and games-based activity stuff, and there's always something different every week when it comes into it now.
Squid Game really is the job. Ultimate different.
Yeah. Squid Game is. I'm waiting till everything dies down, and then I'll watch it. All the hype is here now, and I'm like, I'm not going to join in. I'm not going to join in. I'll just do it later.
You're like me, waiting 10 years after Game of Thrones finished before you decided to watch it. So
Breaking Bad, same with Breaking Bad. I wouldn't watch Breaking Bad till everybody stopped talking about it, and then I watched it.
Yeah, amazing.
And The Wire, another good one. The Wire, same thing. Yeah, I just waited.
Brilliant. Yeah, you had the right mindset. So people can find the Seoul GAA gear on O'Neill's, I presume, and all the Asian stuff is on O'Neill's, is it?
Yeah. Like it's all on there. I think the majority of Asian clubs, all the Seoul gear is on there. So I'd recommend anybody go on there and pick up I like the odd time I'll get, and no, I'll do the same thing. I'll email my friend, say, look, hey, any chance you could fire me a jersey over, from a club around here. So you try your arm first, and then you get the other one. Oh yeah, you can get it. It's on O'Neill's website.
So I want to, if so, next time you're emailing people, if you can stick my name on the end of that email as well and get 2 of them, that'd be great. Yeah.
I've one of the lads back in Belfast. I've promised him a jersey. So we'll say Nahan, we'll sneak one in the bag for you.
Lovely, deadly. That sounds great.
When I land in Dublin, we'll make our way up there somehow.
I'll be there. I teach in Dublin. I'll find you there somewhere, I'm sure.
Good stuff.
Yeah. Anyone you want to give a shout out to or say hello to before I let you go?
No, I think give a shout out at home to all the people back at Screen GAA. They're doing amazing stuff with mental health over the last couple of days. They're doing a little walkathon to raise a bit of funding for the creating the pathways for walking at night and stuff. So a big shout out to the home club in Ballinascreen. We had a few referees over from Derry now.
All right.
Eamon Hassan, Tarla Conway. From Eamon would be a swatcher man, Tarla would be a screen man. But just a big thank you to everybody who follows along on the Facebook pages and the Instagram and Twitter pages, and the lads and ladies in Atlanta, Georgia. Enjoyed listening to it, and I enjoy in keeping up with all what's going on with there. And thanks to you, Jason, yourself for the idea, what you're doing. It's getting the name out, it's getting the recognition out, it's getting the international voices heard, which is, previously you'd hear the odd one, and there's a few lads would be able to put the odd one out, but it's consistent now and it's loud, and thanks very much for it. We do appreciate it. Yeah,
it's great. So I suppose since I traveled to so many countries, I said it's nice to kind of revisit them this way before we get to travel out to some of them again, hopefully. So.
Oh yeah. But, you'll have to come out and see us now in at the AGD. We have Brendan Hennessy will be our MC. So Brendan will be down in Kilkenny Carlow Radio.
All right.
He do a lot of MCing down there. So we used to have Micheál Humertig would be our MC because his son Cormac would play in Singapore. So you could chat to Derek about that. And so Micheál was out for a long time. And then if Micheál can make it out, he'll come out. But Brendan would be the one there. So you have, like, I probably should have said it, nothing better. When we played the finals in 2009, 2014, 2015, Micheál would commentate in the finals.
Oh, wow.
So he'd be like, number 9, Joe Trolan from Ballinascreen, Derry, and you're just like, how long? We're in Bangkok, Thailand, and Micheál Humertig is commenting on the final. And you're just like, and you stop in the middle of the game.
Yeah.
And you would be like,
there he is.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
I love that. But, I'd love to talk to him. That'd be like my dream chat would be to talk to him. Yeah.
Have a chat with Derek. Derek and Paul. Cormac is a doctor in Singapore.
Right.
And he works with Singapore sports stuff like that. And I'm sure they could connect you up very, very easily with it. They're normally going through Cormac, and I've never once. Micheál very rarely would say no to anybody. You know yourself with him.
Yeah.
And if Derek could put you in contact with Cormac, I don't see a reason why not, honestly.
Oh, brilliant. I might take that. So, that's brilliant. Thanks so much, Joe. It's been cracking to find out about the Asian County Board and all about Seoul and Derry and your hiccups at the AGM and all that kind of stuff. So, it's brilliant. But, look, I'll keep in touch for sure. And I hope all is well out there, and keep doing what you're doing. And I'll talk to you again soon.
No problem at all.
Deadly. Thanks for Joe. Good luck. Bye-bye. Coming up the next day on the Loaf of Bread GAA Global, we cut into our next slice. Next Thursday on the Loaf of Bread GAA podcast, incredibly, it is Slice 50, and it's the turn of the gang at Singapore Lions GAA. I chat with Derek from Dublin, Paul Carpenter from England, and Kim from Brisbane to find out about the club, which has appeared most often as the toughest team to beat in Asian GAA. I find out all about the goings-on from being the Mayo of Asia to winning tournaments, the influx of physios and doctors to the region, including one Cormac O'Murrah-Hurtig, the jersey linked to an RTE show, stars in the club's time including Gary Hannafy and his wife, the iconic Kim's super work with her amazing race, vodka jellies, and her party bus featuring guests such as Paul Mannion and Jack McCaffrey, the famous Zimbabwe GAA team featuring Paul and Derek, the vet team, Micheál O'Murrah-Hurtig on commentary in Singapore, and not only do they know Mrs. Doyle from Father Ted, they have a member who was an extra on the show on the day. That's all coming up next Thursday on the Loaf of Bread GAA podcast as we continue the journey with 2 slices a week in our half-century episode. Next Thursday on the Loaf of Bread GAA podcast, incredibly, it is Slice 50, and it's the turn of the gang at Singapore Lions GAA. I chat with Derek from Dublin, Paul Carpenter from England, and Kim from Brisbane to find out about the club, which has appeared most often as the toughest team to beat in Asian GAA. I find out all about the goings-on from being the Mayo of Asia to winning tournaments, the influx of physios and doctors to the region, including one Cormac O'Murrah-Hurtig, the jersey linked to an RTE show, stars in the club's time including Gary Hannafy and his wife, the iconic Kim's super work with her amazing race, vodka jellies, and her party bus featuring guests such as Paul Mannion and Jack McCaffrey, the famous Zimbabwe GAA team featuring Paul and Derek, the vet team, Micheál O'Murrah-Hurtig on commentary in Singapore, and not only do they know Mrs. Doyle from Father Ted, they have a member who was an extra on the show on the day. That's all coming up next Thursday on the Loaf of Bread GAA podcast as we continue the journey with 2 slices a week in our half-century episode. I'll see you at the Arrivals Hall, but until then, check out the various clubs on the Instagram page and see all the amazing work they do and some of the nicest GAA gear going. Find the podcast on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter, and on TikTok. Email loafofbreadpod@gmail.com or just simply hit the follow button and spread the word of the Loaf of Bread GAA pod across the globe. Slaughtneil.